ancient beings of might and magic whose black bones were found across the known world. Dragons were a large, colorfully scaled reptilian species with 2 legs and 2 wings, used to soar through the air, breathing fire upon prey before consuming their cooked flesh. Wielding claws, long tails, and sharp teeth upon powerful jaws, with enough space and food, dragons could grow large enough to consume mammoths whole. Among the many theories concerning their origins, the people of the Valyrian Peninsula claim to discover dragons living in the 14 Flames volcano chain, learning to create personal, possibly magical, possibly telepathic connections with these fire-breathing beasts to fly on their backs and wield them in combat. Intelligent creatures, a bonded dragon protected their rider and obeyed most orders, though they were powerful and temperamental beasts which could, at times, prove difficult or impossible to control. Though most believed they had 2 genders, some maesters believed they had no fixed gender and could change as needed. Either way, some mated with a single partner, developing another, possibly telepathic connection to feel when the other is wounded or killed. Though Valyrian civilization was destroyed in 102 BC, their legacy lived on through House Targaryen, a minor noble family that survived the doom of Valyria, and used their dragons to invade Westeros a century later in the Wars of Conquest, capturing 6 of the continent's 7 kingdoms, to establish the reign of King Aegon Targaryen in 1 AC. Defeating the Kingdom of the North, the Kingdom of the Mountain and Vale, the Kingdom of the Isles and Rivers, thereafter separated into the Iron Islands and Riverlands, the Kingdom of the Rock, the Kingdom of the Reach, and the Kingdom of the Storm, they at last faced defeat against Southern Dorne, which remained independent. Ruling over what they called the 7 Kingdoms, House Targaryen administered the realm from King's Landing in the newly created Crown Lands, and in many ways adapted to the local culture, but also differed significantly, practicing incest to keep their bloodline pure, believing it was their Valyrian blood that allowed them to bond with dragons. Yet this was not always necessary, as they could also marry into other surviving Valyrian families like House Velaryon, great sailors and longtime allies who ruled the island of Driftmark near Dragonstone. Throughout the first half-century of their rule, House Targaryen suffered many setbacks, wars, and defeats, but were able to keep their stranglehold on power thanks in large part to their terrifying dragons. Yet at last, the realm entered into a golden age of peace and prosperity under King Jaehaerys I, who ruled from 48 to 103 AC, leaving a wealthy, thriving kingdom to his grandson Viserys I, who ruled from 103 to 129 AC. A good-hearted man who did his best to continue his predecessor's legacy of excellence, Viserys instead led his family and people to the brink of civil war. Although Westeros functioned as a feudal monarchy, the overwhelming might of House Targaryen's dragons meant the king could act as an absolute ruler, changing laws, ignoring precedent, and establishing reforms as he saw fit. Therefore, when the wife of Viserys Targaryen birthed only one surviving child, the king broke from the tradition demanding a male successor to name his daughter Rhaenyra as heir to the Iron Throne. Attending small council meetings and shadowing her father, Rhaenyra spent years training to be the first ruling queen of Westeros, but a year after the death of her mother in 105 AC, Viserys married Alicent Hightower, an ambitious young woman who over the next few years had 4 children, a girl Helaena and 3 boys, Aegon, Aemond, and Daeron, meaning the king now had multiple possible male successors, creating a rivalry between the Blacks for Rhaenyra and Greens supporting Alicent's eldest boy Aegon. Though Viserys saw the terrible rift forming in his family, his jovial, conflict-averse mentality made him unable or unwilling to remedy the situation, ultimately leading to the worst, bloodiest civil war in Targaryen history. The scheming began almost immediately in 129 AC, when King Viserys died in his sleep at the age of 52, causing the Greens to crown Aegon II as King of Westeros, while on Dragonstone, Rhaenyra was crowned Queen, beginning the Civil War. Easily the greatest weapons in each faction's arsenal, their dragons and dragonlords went on to unleash mass devastation against the lands and people of the continent. Emerging from decades of peace and plenty, the dragon population drastically increased, so that by the reign of King Viserys, every newborn child of Targaryen blood was given a dragon egg in their crib, resulting in 20 living dragons by 129 AC, and 1 born during the war. The oldest, largest, and deadliest of their bonded dragons, Vhagar aided House Targaryen conquer the continent a century earlier, and had grown nearly as large as Balerion the Black Dread, who died of old age some years before. Originally claimed by Queen Visenya Targaryen, Vhagar was next paired with Prince Balon, Laena Velaryon, and finally Prince Aemon, the second son of Alicent Hightower. A bronze she-dragon with greenish-blue highlights and bright green eyes, Vhagar was a veteran of many battles and gave the Green faction an overwhelming advantage anywhere she was deployed. A slender but fearsome she-dragon of silver and pale blue, Dreamfyre was one of the oldest dragons, originally bonded to Rhaenyra Targaryen, the sister of King Jaehaerys, and during the Civil War was claimed by young Helaena, the only daughter of Alicent Hightower. A beautiful golden and pink dragon, Sunfyre the Golden, was younger than some of the others, but also a large and ferocious fighter claimed by young Aegon Targaryen, eldest son of Alicent and claimant king in the Civil War. A beautiful blue and copper she-dragon, Tessarion the Blue Queen, was the youngest of the combat-capable Green faction dragons, claimed by Prince Daeron Targaryen, the youngest son of Alicent Hightower. Roughly a third the size of Vermithor, Tessarion was nimble and fearsome, breathing blue flame upon her enemies during the war. Among the youngest of the Green faction dragons, Morghul was bonded to Jaehaera, the daughter of King Aegon and Queen Helaena Targaryen, too small for use in combat, and was eventually separated from its rider when Jaehaera was sent away from the capital for her safety. Bonded to Jaehaerys, the twin brother of Jaehaera, Shrykos was similarly too small for combat and spent much of the war chained in the dragon pit. The second largest of the dragons, Vermithor was a bronze male with great tan wings, but began life as an egg placed in the crib of Jaehaerys Targaryen. After the king's death, he remained riderless until the Civil War, when the Black faction of Dragonstone called on all dragon seeds to claim a dragon and fight for their cause. Hoping some of the common folk might have traces of Valyrian blood, Vermithor was claimed by Hard Hugh Hammer, a large brutish man who rode him to great devastation in the war. Mimicking the relationship of their original riders, Vermithor was mated with Silverwing, a silvery she-dragon placed as an egg in the crib of Queen Alicent Targaryen, the sister and future wife of King Jaehaerys. Relatively docile and friendly, Silverwing was claimed during the Dragonseed event by Ulf the White, a former man-at-arms that befriended Hugh Hammer. One of their fiercest and most battle-hardened dragons, Caraxes the Bloodworm, was lean but large, growing to roughly half the size of Vhagar. Claimed by Aemon Targaryen, a son of King Jaehaerys, Caraxes later passed to the infamous rogue prince Daemon Targaryen, the troublemaking brother of King Viserys, who first married Laena Velaryon, and later Queen Rhaenyra, fighting for the Blacks in the Civil War. Large and yellow-scaled, Syrax was the fearsome and exceedingly well-fed she-dragon of Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen, who produced many eggs throughout her life, and often flew alongside Caraxes as their riders were married. Known as the Red Queen, the red, pink, and copper she-dragon Meleys was one of the fastest dragons they ever bred, first bonded to Alyssa Targaryen, daughter of King Jaehaerys, and then Princess Rhaenys, the old king's granddaughter who married Lord Corlys Velaryon. A pale, silver-gray dragon, younger and nimbler than many others, Seasmoke was claimed by Laenor Velaryon, son of Rhaenys Targaryen and Corlys Velaryon of Driftmark. Riderless for a time after the death of Laenor, he next bonded with the dragonseed Adam of Hall, the supposed bastard son of Laenor, who may have actually been the bastard son of Lord Corlys. One of the younger Targaryen dragons, Vermax, was given as an egg to Prince Jaehaerys Velaryon, with many doubting it would ever hatch due to the rumors Rhaenyra's offspring were not fathered by her first husband, Laenor, but instead were the illegitimate children of her champion Sir Harwin Strong. But much to their surprise, Vermax hatched without issue and bonded with Jaehaerys, joining him on an important diplomatic mission at the start of the Civil War so they might secure alliances with the Vale and North. Another young dragon of the Black faction, Arrax, was given as an egg to Rhaenyra's second-born son, Lucerys Velaryon, growing gold and pearl white, large enough to ride by the start of the war, but roughly 5 times smaller than Vhagar. Smaller than both Arrax and Vermax, the egg of Tyraxes was given to Joffrey Velaryon, youngest son of Rhaenyra and Laenor. Though he was big enough to ride during the war, the queen feared for her son's life and forbade him from fighting. Slender, pale green, and pearl white, the young she-dragon Moondancer bonded with Baela Targaryen, daughter of Daemon Targaryen and Laena Velaryon. About a year into the war, she remained small and quick, but grew large enough to ride, roughly the size of a horse. Born during the Civil War, the pink and black dragon Morning hatched from one of 3 eggs given to Princess Rhaenyra, another daughter of Daemon Targaryen and Laena Velaryon. The daughter of Syrax, Morning was too young and small to participate in the war. A young dragon too small for a rider throughout much of the war, Stormcloud was given as an egg to Aegon Targaryen the Younger, son of Rhaenyra and her second husband Daemon Targaryen. In addition to the bonded dragons of House Targaryen, 3 wild dragons lived on Dragonstone, hunting to survive and flying where they pleased, with the oldest called Cannibal because he feasted on dead and newly hatched dragons. Though smaller than Vhagar and Vermithor, Cannibal was possibly the oldest living dragon born before the doom of Valyria, with scales black as coal and eyes of green. So fearsome and aggressive he killed any other dragon or would-be dragon rider that got in his way. Born when Cannibal was still young, the skinny mud-brown dragon Sheepstealer earned his name by stealing sheep. Not aggressive against humans, Sheepstealer was over 50 when claimed by the dragon seed Nettles, a skinny dark-skinned girl who cleverly won the dragon's favor by feeding him mutton. Sheepstealer killed more candidates than all other claimed dragons combined, including Alyn of Hull, whose cloak was set ablaze, and Silver Dennis, who lost an arm in the attempt. The youngest of the wild dragons, Grey Ghost, was shy and quiet, mostly consuming fish to survive. Able to hide among the clouds thanks to its pale white color similar to morning mist, Grey Ghost was rarely seen and never claimed by a rider. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Sir Darren of House Ashford, Fred Heartless, Knight of Iron and Ice, Ishmam Ahmed of Shamidiana, and Pete J. King. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.